Welcome everyone back to weekly weather updates, and this afternoon we'll have a look at the latest GFS, GM, ECMWF, GFS Ensembles, ECMWF Ensembles, and we'll finish up having a look at the UK Met Office run for the shorter range forecast. We've been talking about a lot of warm and dry weather over the last few days, and it's looked like that's going to be continuing for the foreseeable future, and it's looking like maybe variable temperatures at the time, but it is going to be a very prolonged dry spell coming up over the next week to 10 days, if not a little bit longer. There are no real concrete signs that we're going to be breaking down this big block we have over the top of the UK at the moment. There are some signs potentially sort of 10 to 14 day forecasts, but those are very uncertain. We really is just looking really quite dry even into the first week of September. So do remember, if you enjoyed my videos, make sure you like and subscribe, and do remember to follow on Twitter as well. The link's in the description. Also released a video earlier on the latest for the major hurricane Ida, which is going to be impacting parts of America, potentially heading through New Orleans and following a similar track to Hurricane Katrina. So I'll link that up in the top right, so do check that out as well. It could be some devastating impacts from that storm. If we do have a look at the UK, which is a lot more mundane than what we're seeing in America at the moment, and that's good thing. Seeing a lot of dry, warm weather for many areas because of this big area of high pressure. Now, over the last day or two, we have had a bit of a weak cold front spread in from the east, and it has meant there's been a bit of drizzle around and some thicker cloud as a result of some cooler air mixing in. That will continue over the next day or so, but by the weekend it is looking like once again high pressure is going to build in for pretty much the whole country, and the best weather over the next week to 10 days does look like it's going to be, of course, towards the centre of the high, towards the north and the west. The high just really sticks around. Early next week, especially Monday for the bank holiday, could be some cooler air coming in, so we do strengthen that bit of an easterly wind. But generally over this weekend, it's still going to be really pleasant, with many areas getting into low 20s, 21, 22 degrees. And again, a few areas in the east and the southeast, maybe a touch cooler with a little bit of cloud and maybe some drizzle here or there. But most areas, it's really going to be rain-free for the foreseeable future. Beyond that, you see high pressure sticks around, nothing really happens in terms of the weather. We do get low pressure trying to push it away towards next Friday, so in a week's time. We do temporarily see a bit of low pressure slide through, but then beyond that, we do continually see high pressure trying to build back in. So it does look like, at least for the next week, it's going to be very little rain. Could be some heavier rain with that low pressure system, and we'll have to just keep an eye on that. But you can see, right as we're towards actually the end of the run, we do actually go into a more unsettled spell, with the potential for a quite cold northerly wind setting up. Now, if you have a look at the upper air temperatures, you'll see it's not particularly cold, but it'll be fresh and chilly in Scotland, potentially, with some cold rain showers, potentially temperatures only getting up into the low teens, if not sort of high single digits, with this colder air coming in from the north. And this would be a very snowy outcome if we were in 2 or 3 months' time. But it is, of course, first week of September, so it's looking just to be a little bit chilly. But you can see, so next 7 days look really warm and dry on the latest GFS, and it does break it down beyond that. But if we have a look at the other models, they do show it sticking around for the foreseeable future. If we have a look at the GM, you can see high pressure really just sticking around, similar to the GFS in terms of having that cold air potentially coming into the southeast. And again, it's not cold, it's just a little bit cooler, and it's going to be in a bit of cloud, some low fog patches in the morning, potentially some drizzle at times. And you can see it just really continues with this high pressure dominating. We do try to pull in a bit of a northerly wind beyond day 7, but you can see the high pressure just sticks around, and all the way until day 10. High pressure maintaining its strength, maybe a few showers creeping into the southwest as we see a little bit of a cut-off low develop, but generally things are looking really quite pleasant and dry, and even towards day 10 things could be turning warm if not hot. There's a pocket of hotter air over towards sort of northern France, potentially coming in on an easterly wind. Beyond that, as that cut-off low comes in, we could see some thunderstorms around, but again, we're right into the uncertain future. It does definitely look like the next 7 days, if not longer, is going to be warm and dry, specifically dry for pretty much all areas, bar from maybe a few areas in the far east. If we have a look at the ECMWF, see what that's showing, you can see again very similar over the next few days. High pressure sticks around. As we're to day 10, you see low pressure starting to push in towards next weekend, and it does slide through, and we do see a breakdown with westerly winds taking back in. So ECMWF breaking down the block in about 7 to 8 days' time. So it is getting to the uncertain stage. It still could change, but at the moment it does look like by around day 8, maybe day 9 on the ECMWF run, all areas will be in more unsettled conditions again. So it is looking like a prolonged dry spell for the next 7 days. So looking really, really quite pleasant for all, before it does look like typical autumnal weather may be taking back over with the jet stream pushing back in. If we have a look at the GFS Ensembles, you can see it pretty much were reflected in terms of the dry weather. You can see the GFS Operational breaking it down early is a bit of an outlier, as the majority of the temperatures, especially in London, staying around to above average with very minimal rainfall, really until maybe the 6th, 7th of September, so in sort of 10 days' time. Beyond that, a lot more uncertainty in terms of temperatures comes in, with some going really warm, others going quite chilly for the time of year. And again, a few precipitation spikes, but nothing massive. So at this stage, not looking like an absolute deluge, but potentially just some lower pressure coming in, potentially giving some more precipitation here or there. If we have a look at the sea level pressure, you can see generally most are going to be above average pressure, so high pressure. So around 1,020 millibars and above is generally pretty steady high pressure, and that's what we're going to be seeing for the foreseeable future. Again, similar to the GFS Operational Run, there are a few outlier ensembles going for lower pressure, some in sort of the medium term, and quite a few in the long term, towards sort of the 9th to 11th of September. And that is expected on an ensemble run, as we do have a lot of uncertainty in the longer term. But it still generally does look like high pressure is in control. If we shift northwards to Scotland, see what's showing in the north, you can see for Glasgow, it is high pressure all the way for the next week. Beyond that, more uncertainty comes into play. Some are maintaining high pressure, others are going towards sort of a mix, some high pressure, some low pressure, sort of in the intermittent zone, where we can see some rainfall, but at the same time it can be fairly pleasant with minimal showers if we get the right conditions. But there are still a few decently low pressure ensembles coming out, potentially showing the jet stream powering back up. So we'll have to keep an eye on what happens really towards sort of 5th of September, around that time. If we have a look at the 850 HPA precipitation, you see over the next sort of week to 10 days, temperature is going to be above average for Glasgow and the north in general, and that's where we're going to see probably the best conditions towards the north and the west. Really, sort of 4 or 5 degrees above average potentially at times, if not a bit higher at the moment. You can see, as I said, towards the 5th of September, when the uncertainty comes in within the pressure, you can see precipitation signals do pick up significantly, as there is a lot more uncertainty over lower or higher pressure. You can see there are some very cold ensembles coming out, getting down to maybe -2, -3 850 HPA, which could give some frosty conditions to some areas potentially. And I know on the Cairngorms up in Scotland, there is some snow row coming up now, which is basically an ensemble that is showing snow in its forecast. Very few at the moment, and we'll probably have a look at those more in more detail. Have a look at the snow row once we sort of get to sort of late September, October time, when there start to come some to more populated sort of lower lying areas, such as sort of London or Glasgow, whatever. We'll start to see some probably into October. So we'll have a look at that nearer the time. But you can see generally going to be quite warm and dry for the next 7 days. Beyond that, still a bit more uncertain, but it's still looking pretty decent until maybe the 5th of September is when we could start to see some cooler, wetter conditions come back in. If we have a look at the GFS, the ECMWF Ensembles, which shows this quite well, if we go all the way to sort of the 3rd of September, we can see all ensemble members have high pressure over the top of the UK. You can see majority of it is more of a northern blocking pattern instead of over the top of the UK as we have at the moment with our mega block we have right now. You can see it moves towards Greenland, which could, in some of the ensembles, allow for a bit of a northerly airflow come in for eastern parts, which could cool temperatures down. But towards the centre of the high, further west and north, it'll be dry and fairly warm. If we go to the 5th of September, where things start to break down, you can see the majority still have high pressure around, but low pressure trying to sort of shunt it out of the way, threaten it. And then we have 14 ensemble members, including the control and operational, have low pressure tumbling back in off the Atlantic. So you can see the majority of ensembles, so about 70%, still have high pressure and control by the 5th of September. Just a few are starting to break it down. If If we go to the 8th of September, you can see pretty much all have some low pressure influencing. You can see 25, including the controls, or half the ensembles pretty much, have low pressure coming in from the north, which would bring rain and cooler temperatures in, especially to the north and west, warmer potentially in the south and the east. You can see 15 or 29.4% still of high pressure around, and this is similar to what we saw in the GEM, which would bring up warmer temperatures from the southeast and potentially some thunderstorms as high pressure out to east low pressure to our west and our southwest, drawing up southeasterly winds. And then you can see 11, which are going to be quite cool with northwesterly winds. So you can see a lot of uncertainty as we head towards the first week of September, and right towards the end of the run you can still see there is a lot of high pressure involved, but it does look like low pressure will be more of a factor, with 25 include the control run with westerly wind, high pressure in the south, low pressure to the north, the typical autumnal pattern. 15 going for a Scandinavian high, potentially east or southeasterly winds. This time of year will be quite dry and potentially warm, depending on the exact orientation of that high. And we'll have to look at that nearer the time. Could be chilly, could be warm. It just really depends whether that area is originating all the way from sort of Scandinavia and Russia, which is starting to cool down at this time of year, or if it's originating from the Mediterranean, which is still quite warm. And then we have 11 with a big northern blocking pattern out the Atlantic, a big negative NAO and AO, as we were looking at a couple of days ago, with northerly winds taking in, which would be pretty chilly, and in the winter would be very cold indeed. So if we do have a look at the short-term outlook, if we have a look at the UKMO office run, you can see, if we have a look at Saturday afternoon, you can see there are a few pesky showers coming into the southeast, but many areas are very dry. And every through Sunday, again, maybe a few showers in the east. We do have some easterly winds coming in. Even for northeastern areas, a few showers here or there, a bit of drizzle. We did see this a couple of days ago, and it didn't really come off. So we have to keep an eye on it. It doesn't look too bad at the moment, but could be a few pesky showers here or there with some thicker cloud, and by Wednesday, again, a few showers. If we have a look at the temperatures, if we do run all the way to Saturday afternoon, we can see temperatures are going to be widely 21, 22 degrees potentially. Maybe a touch cooler in the east, maybe only 17, 18, but still feeling fairly pleasant. It could be a lot worse this time of year. As we head through to Sunday afternoon, you can see temperatures getting up to around 20, 21 degrees, maybe a little bit chillier in the far east, but generally still fairly pleasant for many areas. By Monday afternoon, Bank Holiday Monday, maybe a degree or two cooler than we saw over Saturday, Sunday, with many areas seeing 18, 19 degrees, as we have a bit of cooler air coming in, especially on an easterly wind. Still fairly pleasant. Ireland, 20, 21 degrees. And Ireland and sort of Scotland, and generally western areas, could be the best places for temperatures. By Tuesday, temperatures once again 19, 20 degrees, potentially a little bit cooler in the easterly winds. Still feeling fairly pleasant. One thing we could see over the next sort of week or so, as we've got a lot of high pressure involved, some cooler air coming into the far southeast, we could start to see the return to some quite chilly nights. Even in the day, it could be quite warm and dry towards the night, so we have clearer skies. Temperatures could plummet into the mid-single digits. You can see by this, Wednesday at 3 a.m, areas in Scotland only 7, 8 degrees, even into Wales maybe 9 degrees, Ireland 8, 9 degrees, parts of England getting down to sort of 11 degrees or so, so feeling a little bit more chilly. So it is generally still looking really good. Not too much change in the forecast, and it's looking very dry for the next 7 days at least. Beyond that, a little bit more uncertainty, but there is always uncertainty at that range, and we'll just have to keep an eye on that. So make sure you do go out and enjoy the next 7 days. It is going to be fairly pleasant and dry for many, even though it's not going to be particularly hot, and I know people will want sort of 25 plus degrees. It's unfortunately not going to be like that. The upper airs aren't quite warm enough, and the orientation of the high isn't quite sufficient to be dragging in that warm air, but it is still going to be fairly pleasant, so do go out and enjoy yourself. So anyway, thanks for watching, hope you enjoy, subscribe if you're new, and I'll see you again for another video soon.